In this video, I'm going to talk about how to create holes in objects and how to use the append polygon tool. So for instance, say for example with this sort of flat cube here, maybe I want to put a hole in there. Maybe it's for a button, maybe it's just for sort of like some sort of little decal, whatever it may be. I want to be able to make a hole out of it. Now there are a couple of different ways of doing this. The one that I'm going to show right now is using the booleans. I highly discourage using this, and I'll explain why in a minute. So what we might want to do is create a cylinder like so and place it in the middle of the cube. Make it as big or small as you want it to be. Now what we're going to use, we're going to use the booleans tool and use the difference. Basically it kind of cuts into the object. So what we're going to do is you want to select the object that you want to be cut, into. Select the mesh that you're going to use as a template to cut it from. Then you go to mesh, booleans and difference. So you'll see now that I've cut a hole into this object. Now this looks pretty good, however there is a reason why you don't want to use this. Because again, when it comes to game engines, it always works in tries, and especially in Maya as well, you'll be working in quads. So if I go to, say for example, vertexes, or even edges actually, this particular face here is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different sides of different edges. Now that's not good. We don't want to use anything that has more than 4 sides, because again, if you're going to make like a high poly version, if you take it into Mudbox or ZBrush, which is like a high sculpting software, it will just not like it. It will come up with error issues, and especially in game engines as well, it can be very uneven and can cause a few problems. That's why you always want to make sure you're working in quads or working in tries. So it's okay for now, but there are different ways to do it. So for instance, with this same sort of flat cube here, you might want to go to insert edge loop, put in say 3 or 4 edge loops here. Go to vertices. What we're going to do is we're going to click and drag. So we're selecting both the bottom and top ones here. So I'm going to do it for all these here. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually shape a sort of hole in this model. So maybe I want to bring it out a little bit. Deselect some of these. Just to kind of shape it. And you can kind of see that I've got like a cylinder approach going right now. You may want to put in say a image, or maybe use like a cylinder as like a template, like how we did with making the vases for instance, just to kind of get the vertices in the right angles to kind of make it look and feel like it's a circle. So we kind of got it here. So this example that I quickly made. So once you're happy with that, you might want to go in and delete these faces. Same with the bottom ones as well. Until you have something like this. But you can see that there's no faces connecting those two edges here. So what we can do is we can use a tool called the append polygon tool. So if we go to mesh tools, it's right at top. Oops, wrong one. There we are. Now what this tool does is, if you can see these edges here are highlighted, but the outer ones aren't. The reason is because these two edges are connected by a face. What the append polygon tool does is that it allows you to click on any open edges. Click on say the opposite side. It allows you to create a face based on 2 open edges. So how it works is, again, you go to mesh tools, append polygon tool, and you see these sort of highlighted edges here. You select on it, and you'll see that the rest of the edges have this sort of like this purple overlay to it. That basically means that you could select any of these and it will create a face from this edge to that edge, or vice versa, to that edge to this edge, whatever you want. So we'll go for this one, obviously the opposite one. Then once you're happy with it, you press enter and it'll create an entirely new set of faces for you. So you can kind of go in and do that. And again, a quick way to get to the append tool, rather than going to mesh tools and to the polygon tool right there, you can just press G, which repeats your previous tool, which is the append tool. So we can just select that, go around. Oops. You may need to make sure that you're definitely hitting those edges there. We're almost done now. You may think, oh well, it's a bit of a longer process rather than using the boolean tool, but you can see from the edges here that we are still working in quads. There's no five-sided shapes here at all. And again, it's good practice to be working in tris or quads, so this is kind of the best way of doing it. You'll find that you will always have to make holes, but certain objects may require it. So you can see here now, if I just turn this off, you have kind of like a hole. At the moment, there's quite a few hard edges, but we could say add in some more edge loops, for instance. And we could shape it into more of a rounded shape, but this is a much better way of doing it rather than using the difference tool, which is booleans. Difference, again, it's entirely up to you. I have to reiterate the fact that it is highly discouraged to use this tool unless you're going to go in and actually say use the multi-cut tool to go around and fix it like so to make it all four-sided. The problem with the difference tool is as well is that a lot of times it can break the mesh as well. So you'll find that, oh, it might work for one object, but when you try to cut into something, the entire mesh could just become pretty much a big massive error. It can just destroy the whole thing or create uneven effects. So again, just with like many tools, it's kind of double-edged. Sometimes it can work, sometimes it doesn't. So you could use it for instance, and like as you can see right now, is that I am going in and slicing up the cube just to make sure everything's kind of more four-sided, because again, it is good practice to do that. And the tool that I'm using right now is called the multi-cut tool. You can get to it through here. You see the little cube and the hammer. Multi-cut, that allows you to select vertexes and put in your own vertices. So you're kind of like putting in more like a manual edge loop. Then press enter and it'll create a whole new set of edges for you. So I could go around doing that. You'll find that the append polygon tool is quite useful. So for example, with this is the mesh I want. So some of you might have seen the water tank on Moodle. So you're wondering, how could I create the grater? You can create the base for it. So you could delete the bottom edges here, go to the append tool, just go in and fix it like so. It's a very useful tool. Especially doing like holes in objects, for instance, or trying to get like a very specific shape. Like so. And that's how you can create holes in objects, whether it be circular or rectangular.